Hunter x Hunter is the greatest manga of all time. I do not care, I'm listening to no one. But on a more serious note, it's been my favorite since the first time I watched or read it. Togashi did such an amazing job creating a world between cast of characters with incredible antagonists and world building. I love Gon, Killua, Kurapika and Leorio, and pretty much the whole cast. Every time I ask myself who's my favorite character, it always changes. One day it's Gon, the other day it's Kurapika or Miriam. I just can't find myself choosing one over the other. They're also likable and unique in their own ways. It's kind of a shame that Togashi is not going to be able to finish the manga, but I truly hope he gets better with his health because that's the only thing that matters, honestly. One of my favorite aspects about Hunter x Hunter is how morality is portrayed and how grounded the story feels. It's not just black and white, there's always a gray area, which makes it even more interesting to have different viewpoints instead of characters just being good and evil. For me, it's all about perspective. Even though Gon is the main character, it feels like when you follow different viewpoints of different characters, it could be their own story, like the Phantom trope in the York New City arc, or Kurapika with the Dark Continent Expedition arc, or even Killua during different parts of the Chimera and arc. They all feel like good enough characters to carry their own story, and they're all driven by the emotion and the love they have for something they care about. It could be a person, it could be a goal, it could be a desire, especially with Gon in the Chimera and arc. That aspect of his character is displayed in such a perfect way. You can feel his hope, his anger, his despair. He was so flawless, man. I'm gonna make a different video about adult Gon later on because he's probably my favorite character of all time or transformation. I'm always changing my mind between him or Alan Walker from The Gray Man or Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho, of course, or even Gon from DBZ, cause those people, oh my guys, I love them so much. I love them so much. But I digress. Even though the story of Hunter x Hunter can get pretty dark sometimes, I feel like the message that they try to convey is more about enjoying the journey and especially the little moments and not focus on the goal. And friendship also is something really important that Togashi explores, but unlike other shonen, it's not cringy or corny. There's no friendship or all that stuff. They laugh together, they fight, they bicker, they train, they betray each other or act without thinking about other people's feeling, and it feels so real and believable. The other characters are also so incredible and deep. Kurapika is the first one that comes to mind because his motive for revenge for his clan are definitely justified, but you can feel underneath all that hatred the pain that he goes through. Kurapika is someone who is kind by nature. Even in his fight against Overgain, after Overgain disrespected his clan, he still didn't want to kill him and was forced to do it because he left him no chance. We can feel his distaste for blood and the act of killing. That aspect of his character is so well portrayed by Togashi, but at this point of the story, I'm 90% sure that Kurapika's fate is doomed. This path of vengeance can only take you so far, and the way he's been abusing his Emperor Time technique means that he doesn't have that much time left. And honestly, that would be a perfect conclusion to his character. Someone who was ready to throw his life away for vengeance, lost it in the process. How poetic. Killua is also amazing. I love him so much. The way he cares about Gon is so touching, and I felt so sad for when Gon was ignoring him during the whole Chimera and arc. And his reaction on seeing adult Gon is just everything. I just love it. Magnifique. And last but not least, Leorio. For me, I think it's Togashi's way of portraying his artists in the manga. Unlike Gon, Killua or Kurapika, he's the most sane, and you can even argue he's the only kind-hearted character in the main cast because Gon is kind of a hypocrite, Killua is an assassin, and Kurapika is so vengeful that he's ready to abandon his friends for it. I'm telling you, they all messed up in the head. So shout out to Leorio for keeping it real. And also that scene of him and Gon during the chairman election arc had me in tears. The world building on Hunter x Hunter is absolutely incredible. I think we should mention it more next to One Piece when we talk about this topic, because people have this idea of world building in general just being about going to various places and locations, but for me it's all about the author fleshing out the world and giving us enough detail for it to feel alive and believable. The small information are always useful, and it gives more flavor to the world and makes it more engaging to learn more and more about it over time. One of the main reasons why I enjoy the Hunter x Hunter world drama is because it is the closest one to a reality. Togashi is able to deal with topics that are going on in the present time, and is reflected in the story. Nukes are mass produced, children are starving and are witnessing war on a daily basis, innocent people are losing their life because they are caught between a crossfire, rich people are living lavishly, buying jewelry, and are acting like the world is all about them, while the lower class people are struggling, getting discriminated, and are treated like they are not even human. Everything that I just mentioned are all problems that are currently going on in the world, And it's actually kind of scary how true it is because it is exactly the same thing. Even though I did mention that world building isn't just going to different places, on 100 hours explore various locations that are all relevant to the plot. York is basically New York, it's in the name, and it's not surprising that the city is full of crimes with a whole mafia empire underneath it. Heaven's Arena is a tournament tower that has its own economy and system of ranking, and Great Island is technically part of the world, even though it has its own rules with the whole card MMO mechanic, which actually makes it more unique compared to other locations. And the Dark Continent is definitely the most intriguing aspects about Hunter x Hunter's world because there isn't that much that we know about it, but we know the scope and the potential that it represents is truly limitless. I'm sure the answers about a lot of mysteries are present there, but I don't want to talk about it that much because we might be here for hours. Hunter x Hunter has really dope fights. Togashi is able to write dynamics that conveys different themes while making the fight really enjoyable to read or to watch. Meruem vs Netero is a perfect example of that idea. It's my favorite fight of all time, and I honestly think it's the best fight in all of anime. Because at that point of the story, we're not even sure who to root for. Meruem is presented as the protagonist, the one with the solutions, the one who wants to change the world for the better, the one who doesn't want to fight, while Netero is portrayed as an intruder, as someone who's opposing that idea of freedom, as someone who's selfish, as someone who wants to fight. Kurapika vs Overgen is definitely a fan favorite for obvious reason. The fight itself is so intense, and the moral dilemma Kurapika is going through makes it even more intriguing to follow. And the fact that Kurapika brought a fucking shovel to the fight is just hilarious. He knew he was about to kill that man. Gon vs Hisoka is another fan favorite fight. I think while watching this fight we all knew that Gon was going to lose, so it was really dope to see him using strategy to compensate for his lack of power. Chrollo vs Hisoka is the most insane shit I've seen in my life. Do you know how crazy it is to use the orders as a tool? I have to make a video on it because it is absolutely insane. The first time I read it, I was about to go crazy. All these fights are able to feel fresh and unique thanks to the best power system ever created, with Nen. I hear a lot of people saying that Nen is pretty hard to understand, and I do agree that there are a lot of details that you need to know to understand Nen, but for me it was never an issue or that complicated. So basically there are 4 bases that you need to know before using Nen, Ten, Zetsu, Ren, and Hatsu. It's after learning all those steps that a hunter is able to discover his Nen type, and there are 6 of them in total: Enhancement, Transmutation, Emission, Conjuration, Manipulation, and Being a Specialist. Hunters get their Nen type based on their nature and their personality. That's why it makes sense that characters like Gon, Uvogin, and Netero are all enhancers because they all have the thrill for battle. But a hunter isn't just limited to his base type. There's always a way for him to learn different techniques or to use different types, even though it's going to be weaker or less effective. Gon is a perfect example of the potential of Nen and the danger that it can represent. Being an enhancer by nature means that transmutation and emission are the easiest for him to learn. That's why he's able to create emission techniques like paper and transmutation techniques like scissors. But with someone with such a deep understanding of Nen like Gon, he's even able to create Nen Vow that makes him almost on par with Meruem. One of the many aspects that I love about Nen is how neutral it feels in the narrative. The protagonist and antagonist are all on the same playing field, and it's all about the knowledge and the creativity that you have. It makes the fight much more engaging and entertaining to follow. Chrollo vs Hisoka is a perfect example of why Nen is the best power system. There's so much more that I can cover about Nen. You have the advanced technique, the self-imposed limitation, specialist Nen users as a whole, and Nen Beast, but there's too much to cover and we might be here for hours. Hunter x Hunter is easily one of the best cast as antagonists we've seen in any anime or manga, honestly. They're all so fleshed out that they could all be the main characters of their own show. Meruem is surely an anomaly in the medium. Having an antagonist going through the whole arc about finding his humanity, even though he was born as pure evil, is something truly special. And I love the fact that he learns to appreciate his humanity while interacting with someone who's portrayed to be weak by the standard of the Hunter x Hunter world. Komugi is a perfect example of strength coming in different forms, and the fact that their battle was more mental was even more touching. Chrollo is another masterclass by Togashi, and the recent chapters about his backstory makes us understand him even more. Chrollo playing the role of the villain for so long that he eventually became it is such a unique way of presenting your antagonist, and now we finally know why he has an identity crisis. But even with that, he still has a love for the members of the Phantom Troop. Chrollo feels like a victim of the Hunter x Hunter world, someone who witnessed tragedy as a child and will force himself to play the role of the bodyguard to protect his family. Incredible. Hisoka is an interesting character to analyze because half of the time he's on the protagonist side and the other time he's an antagonist. It's hard to say where he places himself, but it's always intriguing to follow his action every time he's on screen because you know shit's about to go down. I'm gonna try to keep this section brief, but Hunter x Hunter and Togashi in general has this reputation of having bad art, and I'm asking myself, are we reading the same manga? Togashi has my favorite art style of any author, and it's easily one of the best to ever grace Jump. He's able to portray emotion in such a detailed way that you can feel it through the panel. The way he draws fights are also so easy to follow, and they're also engaging page after page. People end up using 2-3 panels of subpar art, even though we all know that Togashi has some serious health issues, and it pisses me off because they're giving Hunter x Hunter the reputation of having bad art, and it is so annoying. So, in conclusion, Hunter x Hunter is peak fiction. It has everything you want in a show. Incredible writing with deep characters, especially the antagonist, world building that is able to rival One Piece, the best power system in any anime, emotional moment that can bring you to tears, and a really likable cast that makes you want to follow them throughout the whole story. But that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and to subscribe if you are new here, and stay safe.